And the subject for today is getting known by customers in international markets. My name is Antonio Sena, and I'm a sales manager here at PingPong. And so with us today, as I mentioned, Klaudia Kucel from Webinterpret. And Claudia's got a lot of experience within the e-commerce space. She's inside of the industry. She's claims to be bilingual in English and Polish, but then she rattles off that she speaks that. So, very impressive language background, but a lot of work. AP charitable company and Claire's currently out of their European offices. Klaudia, welcome to the webinar.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very good to hear from everybody out there.
Cool. So please tell us, can you give us a little bit more about your background? Tell us a little more about Webinterpret before we jump in, or do you want to just jump in? How do you want to swing this thing?
Okay, well, so let me tell you a little bit then about myself. So I've been with the company for over 4 years now. I've been actually initially working within the European office for the British customers. I mainly focused previously on eBay and Amazon. Then I was actually transferred over to our new office here for Northern American operations in Toronto. So this is where I'm actually currently at. I'm here completely alone. Welcome to Corona. But yes, so this is where I'm currently calling you from. So Webinterpret, we are a startup company. We focus basically on opening up the doors for all e-commerce sales and expanding internationally. That is our main focus, not much of domestic sale focus, more international. I will be saying a little bit more about the company itself later on in the slides, so don't want to kind of repeat myself, so we can then maybe get started with the agenda.
And before we jump in, just one question I would like to ask everyone. How did you find your e-commerce?
How did I find what? Sorry, the internet is cutting out a little bit on your end.
How did you find your way into commerce?
How? Well, that's quite interesting. It was a journey that was completely started off with commerce, I would say, face-to-face. I started off as a student studying something completely different, never really thought of myself as going into sales or going into e-commerce. Then kind of found my passion through basically starting off in companies such as Claire's Accessories. Funny enough, I used to actually be a supervisor in that company. Started off with running campaigns there, with basically getting awards for upselling diamond sales for sales of earrings, etc. And then my brother was the one that kind of introduced me to Webinterpret itself. He used to actually work in the company as well. And once I started off here, I kind of could use my expertise of just international trade and general international relations, which is what I studied in university, and kind of found my passion here and stayed.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
Has been a long journey.
The stories of awesome. Yeah. So yeah, please feel free to jump into the presentation.
Okay, no problem. So just to kind of sum up everything for everybody here, today we'll be focusing on 4 main topics. So why focus on international growth at all? 2, getting noticed on international marketplaces. 3, paying your overseas suppliers and freelancers, and maximizing your marketplace sales in times of uncertainty. So today we start off then basically with the question, why focus on international growth at all? So technology has changed the way we shop. Over the years, stationary shopping was basically overtaken and even sometimes substituted by e-commerce via the internet. So due to the nature of the changing world, the increase of international retail orders started growing exponentially. And we can see this even now more in 2020, which seems to be the strangest year yet. We have seen a lot of turbulent months behind us and possibly a few more in front of us for both consumers and online sellers. And I think for everybody just worldwide, we have seen killer bees, we have seen basically aliens attacking the world, and Trump losing their election. So basically we have seen it all. So in the trends when it comes to e-commerce, when countries worldwide started embracing social distancing, the brick and mortar shopping experience went through a natural decline in sales. So as little as 20% of all retail sales were made online before the world went into lockdown. But of course, as we have seen in March 2020, and as pointed out by ACI worldwide, online sales saw an astonishing 74% increase in average transaction volumes versus to what was happening last year, which is crazy. You can see from my screen here as well. Basically, within the United Kingdom, Italy, and Germany, we have seen the exact same trends. And we can see that the online sales growth continues throughout the pandemic. You can see how it's increasing more and more as we get towards the summer months.
It's crazy to see how Spain just never even, everywhere else kind of had a drop come mid-May, mid-June, but Spain just looked like it. People kept shopping online, which, you would think the trend would be the same all over, but no, very interesting.
Yeah, that is quite interesting. I would think that has to tie in with the trends as to what the governments were deciding with the lockdowns. In some countries, I believe during the summer, the rules were a little bit, I would say, less enforced. And I think this is why stationary shopping kind of became the new norm again. But nevertheless, as we can see towards the end of the summer, when numbers of positive cases started going up again, we started noticing again the trends of online shopping coming back. So that's quite understandable here. So basically, as we can see here, the e-commerce landscape is basically changing, especially when looking at buyer behavior as well. It's exactly what we just basically pointed out here. So it's constantly adapting. Of course, we know that some of the trends have been there before the pandemic ever took place. We can't just blame it on COVID. We blame everything on COVID nowadays. But of course, these trends have been currently intensified and accelerated. So as we know, with the growth of the world population, internet penetration is steadily growing. And now almost 60% of households worldwide have access to internet, which is a pretty big portion of the population. So what's really interesting here is that in a survey that was basically generated not too long ago, 60% of consumers from Europe's three largest e-commerce marketplaces, which are France, Germany, and United Kingdom, said that they will continue to purchase online as much as they do even after the pandemic is over, which means that basically the trends of growth of e-commerce are not going to halt even if the pandemic ends. And similar approaches were actually shared by other consumers across Europe and other countries as well. Another good point here, I would say, is that now customers seem to be more willing to wait for their products to arrive, especially when it comes to non-essential goods, which means that time of delivery is no longer as big of an issue as it was in the past. And this, I think, was especially seen during the COVID-19 pandemic and observed especially in a recent study from the United Kingdom, which said that 45% of consumers were just happy to wait longer for their parcels to arrive, which aren't trends that we've observed before. People were very impatient, left bad comments when your parcels were delayed just a day or two. And I think now people kind of became more relaxed with the fact that there is no influence over how long a parcel might take because of what's happening worldwide.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's great news, especially for people who work on the operations side, right? I mean, that's
exactly.
It's counterintuitive, right? I mean, if you work in e-commerce for more than a couple of days, you always learn that speed to customer means 50% more sales. People are more.
Yes, I would agree. Your internet broke out a little bit, but yes, I would agree with you 100%. I, for example, would say here that on the Northern American side of the world, this is great news because I think that was the biggest worry of US sellers when shipping abroad. So that basically shows the changing attitude of customers worldwide, and therefore is a positive trend for expansion from the States into Europe. So, of course, with such developments and consumer attitudes, cross-border e-commerce is estimated to reach a worth of 717 billion euros by the end of 2020 and occupy 30% of shares in e-trade in 2021. So it's fantastic. And thus, the answer here is pretty simple, and it can be obviously inferred from all the data I just threw at you that in this world, international e-commerce seems to be the quickest way to scale up and grow your business internationally. So as we can see here from these slides, the 4 European countries combined alone offer an opportunity to attract around 130 million shoppers and tap into 112 billion pounds of potential sales. That's a huge pool here. So with the pandemic only intensifying the growth in trends of e-commerce and cross-border trade, which we've seen from the previous statistics, within just these markets alone, we can see that there's a huge window of opportunity here for all that want to expand their e-horizons internationally. So looking here and taking a data sample between March of 2020 and 21st of June 2020, the average increase for these countries was between 35 to 130% over to what was happening last year, which is huge. Like we don't see these kind of numbers popping up every day. And in my opinion, these kind of trends will just continue to stabilize, and this will become the new norm because we just got used to international shopping.
Yeah.
So now we have to answer the question, how do we actually tap into this potential and how do we get noticed on international marketplaces? So the answer here is quite simple. International marketplaces hold immense power in e-commerce, and they are the easiest way to build your international presence with. So they are hugely popular, and you get instant access to millions of customers without having to spend any money on marketing. So you benefit from the reach of the marketplace, which is enormous, because even though nobody knows your brand, nobody knows your product, you could be selling something completely obscure. In a marketplace setting, you only need to worry about the internal ranking, and you don't need to actually convince people to come and look at your products. If they're interested, they will find them eventually. Moreover, you gain a huge level of trust, and it's an instantaneous trust, because if people trust the marketplace, they will automatically trust you. And additionally, of course, starting is simple and quick. Each marketplace will basically take care of the hassle of selling internationally for you. So, from web design, from the hosting, from processing of orders, financial transactions, and even fulfillment and shipping. A lot of these platforms even cover that part for you, such as eBay and Amazon, for example. They have their own shipping services. So not only do you save a lot of money, you save a lot of time as well. And lastly, most marketplaces have the ability to operate internationally. So they already have established infrastructures to do so. And this is where they are able to utilize Webinterpret solution, which makes expansion worldwide possible with pretty much minimal effort and a click of a button. So now, just to kind of tie into what we were talking about Webinterpret in the beginning, just to kind of sum up of who we are. So we were actually founded in 2017 and have now grown into a startup of about 200 plus employees with 5 offices around the world. And with over 12 years of experience in international e-commerce, Webinterpret has localized over 250 million live listings and helped over 40,000 independent sellers sell their products globally. I myself have probably onboarded half of them. No, I'm joking. But I have worked here for quite some time. And I have basically tapped into all this potential and spoken to a lot of different customers from this pool. So probably I could say that we can call ourselves an expert as such in opening up world e-commerce at every step of the way to basically domestic and global sellers. We have partnered with marketplaces such as eBay and Amazon, and payment platforms such as PayPal, or companies such as Currencies Direct, to basically bring forward a solution that will make international expansion seem like a walk in the park. So we just want to make it as easy as possible for anybody to have the access to the tools they need to expand internationally.
And with your solution, if you're a North American seller, are you using your inventory from North America to ship to the different European marketplaces, or you need to open a PPL? Okay.
Exactly. So that's exactly what that ties into the second part of my explanation here. So yes, you are exactly right. The only requirement here is that you, of course, need to already be shipping internationally. So you need to have some kind of plan of how you're going to actually get those products to the customers in the other countries. So either utilizing those shipping solutions presented by the marketplace itself, such as the eBay shipping solution or Amazon's shipping solution, or you're just going to use USPS or any other provider, private provider, basically. So in that way, yes, basically we are taking your US listings, Northern American listings, usually US because that's the clientele bases we currently focus on, and localize them internationally. So we basically give you the tools for international marketing here. As basically you have kind of touched upon here already, when sellers decide to take advantage of Webinterpret's plug-and-play solution, we are able to instantly launch their marketplace stores with platforms such as eBay, Amazon, or recently as well Cdiscount. In Europe, we have a little bit of more local platforms such as Allegro, or within Northern America, we're kind of playing around also with marketplaces such as Walmart. And within such platforms, we're able then to tap into potential markets such as Italy, France, Spain, Germany, and many more, of course, depending on the platform and what they support within the platform itself.
Okay.
So thanks to basically Webinterpret's technology, we're able to translate and, as I mentioned, localize the seller's domestic items. So we basically take care of everything: the translation, localization, and international listing processes. So basically the merchants don't have to do anything as such. So basically over the years, our experience has grown, and this is kind of a benefit to the customers that are using our product as well, because they can tap into that knowledge, and basically we are here to help them grow their international business every step of the way. So in order to kind of understand the technical side of it a little bit more, just to kind of show you how easy it is. So I can basically say that our solution is complete and automated. So Webinterpret automates every step on your journey to basically international expansion. So after the connection of a token, which is kind of like a plugin into the backend of your, let's say, eBay shop or Amazon shop, we're able to fetch all the data, and then boom, we're able to literally spit out international listings on the corresponding sites for that given seller. So it's literally the seller's journey begins and ends with connecting this token. The rest happens on our end. Of course, when it comes to the platform settings, they will need to adjust it a little bit according to what the platform requires, etc., for the international marketplaces. But basically everything is automated, from listing processes and translations to price and stock synchronization. We are doing everything in the background, and the international stores don't have to be really maintained by those domestic sellers. I know that a lot of sellers are terrified of the fact that, how am I going to deal with thousands of listings at this point in time? You don't. And
With
that's the good part.
Webinterpret, I know you guys said you're using a lot of AI for the translation, but you also have where you have humans double check, right? Because everyone heard all the stories about people with doing the AI into Amazon Sweden and the funny translations that came over. So you guys have a workaround like to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes, we do. So I can tell you from personal experience, I've witnessed some pretty funny translations in the past where Guns N' Roses were literally translated to Guns N' Roses into Italian and Spanish, and they were selling T-shirts of from concerts. Nevertheless, that didn't look like it, which pretty much made them get a ban on the international sites. And this is where Heroes Webinterpret came in, and we are able to adjust each dictionary for the seller on the international marketplaces. So 100%, we adjust the solution according to what each seller needs, according to whatever merchandise they sell. We do have a specialized team as well. They're called the Language Quality Assurance Team that checks up on every listing that needs the attention. So of course it is automated in the sense that we do put forward a solution that is very easy, and it is automated, and the translations are not human translations. So of course we can't promise that. Nevertheless, when there is a need for a human to check the translations, look into it, then we basically are the ones that step in with our teams and take that workload on ourselves, which I think is a
Great.
little bit differentiating than as to what, for example, Amazon does, because there everything is automated and it's very, I think, rare for actual human contact to take place with the translation.
No, that quality assurance aspect is huge.
Yes, exactly. So that actually ties into kind of my last slide here with quality assurance and control. So with our solution, sellers basically also have control over what items go live internationally, and they are able to acquire data reporting to track growth basically on the international platforms. And all of this is done through what we call the seller user interface, which is currently developed for eBay and Amazon mainly. And through this dashboard, those customers have the control to select items for localization, are able to adjust translations, adjust prices, attach shipping profiles. And this is all done both on country and item level. And you can basically also monitor sales through our sales stat pages and kind of see how you grow through those international platforms. So overall, just to kind of recap it, basically, the solution is for everyone and anyone that really wants to aspire to grow their business internationally. I've worked with all types of customers. You don't have to be necessarily tech savvy to use the platform, and of course, we are here to help out and answer any questions. And I don't think there are any stupid questions out there, because those platforms that basically customers sell on can be quite complicated, and this is where Webinterpret can step in and help out as well. So that sums up to this part of my presentation. Over to you, Antonio, now.
Perfect. So now the question is, I'm selling in international marketplaces. How do I receive those, different currencies? It's something that people don't typically think about right away, because with a lot of the different solutions, they have a built-in process where, if you're receiving British pounds or euros, they automatically make the conversion for you and put it into your bank account in Canadian dollars or US dollars, depending on where you're located. What a lot of people don't realize is that these companies are taking a pretty hefty cut. We've seen it anywhere between 2 and 5%, depending on the currency and your monthly volumes. So PingPong, what we've created is we have a solution where we can give you virtual bank accounts using tier 1 banks, so like Citibank, Wells Fargo, BNP Paribas, and you use these receiving accounts to actually receive your British pounds, receive your euros, or many other marketplaces around the world. We're also, basically the 10 big marketplaces that Amazon's in, we can receive those currencies. So you're no longer receiving US dollars from the pounds. You're going to receive the British pound, and then you can do the conversion when you want and deposit it into your bank account. And with PingPong, we charge no more than 1%. So already they're seeing the savings. We also give you a mid-market FX rate. So, all in all, you're going to end up receiving more of your own currency into your bank account than you were previously. And we hook up with pretty much any e-commerce platform that's out there. We work with eBay, Rakuten, Amazon, Shopee, Cdiscount, Otto in Germany. And also, the reality is, if you have a platform that you'd like to be using on, talk to us. We work with our business development team, and we can set up those relationships. But we're constantly bringing on new partners all the time. It just makes life much easier. And with this, we have another feature where you can pay your suppliers, you can pay your VAT, you can pay your freelancers, all of these things. So why is that good? So right now, if you're selling in Europe but you're based in the US, you have to pay your VAT. If you're having, the pound or the euro automatically transferred to US dollars, you then have to change that again back to euro or pound to then pay. So you're losing some money there. So with PingPong, you can hold the money in your euro account, hold the money in your pound account, and pay directly to the tax authorities in Europe. Same with the tax authorities in Canada if you're based somewhere else and you're traveling to Canada. So right there, you're going to save some money. Another solution we have is where you can pay your suppliers. Now, this is really exciting, and this is actually one of the most exciting things for me when I joined PingPong. My background is very much in international sales and e-commerce, so I spent a lot of time wiring money to people in Asia and hoping I didn't transpose the numbers, hoping it gets there on time, and I don't have to wait that 2 weeks and then hope. So with PingPong, we've built out a solution where you can use your funds that you receive from the different channels. If you're based in the US, we can top up from your bank account. We're working to move that around the world, but right now it's available in the US. So once you have those funds, you can say, hey, I have a supplier in China. I want to pay them in the CNY instead of the US dollars. So you can negotiate with your supplier and say, hey, I no longer need to pay you in US dollars. I can pay you in CNY. You should give me a discount on my invoice. And the reason why they should give you an invoice, a discount on the invoice, is they're no longer factoring in their cost of the FX. So, hey, maybe you're going to see anywhere between 3 and 5%, depending on what they're doing, because typically the Chinese banks are not going to give them a very good rate. So with us, you have a really good, strong mid-market FX rate. You're seeing that discount, and then we take no more than 1% transaction fees. You're going to save money. There's no wiring fees. It's the money goes over much faster, usually within 1 to 3 business days. It's in their account. And we can pay out in over 100 different currencies. So if you have freelancers in India, the Philippines, virtual assistants, you can pay all of them as well. So really, it really is a nice solution that we have going. So it's, like I said, it's not the most exciting part about international business, but if you're not using someone like PingPong, you're just leaving money on the table. And we know with all the different costs, every percentage point counts. Thank you, Claudia.
Perfect. Okay, so just to kind of then move into our last part of the presentation. So we're going to be focusing on maximizing your marketplace sales potential in times of uncertainty. So here, basically, we are presenting a summary based on some of the strategies we've developed and the best practices we've seen among our marketplace sellers, especially in recent months. And of course, this strategy is not exhaustive, and not all the points may be directly applicable to each business, because obviously each business is unique. However, these are key points that will basically make you think on how to improve your return on investment and help you adapt and mitigate risks in the changing e-commerce landscape. So here are basically some key parts of this strategy. So number one, continuous analysis of your business environment, the marketplaces, and the trends. So basically, be aware of your competitive landscape, follow trends and promotional calendars of each marketplace independently. So just stay on top as to what is in the now. Two, focus on optimization that is both non-resource intensive and makes the most impact on your bottom line. Therefore, leverage your data, be inventive, adapt to each marketplace, make the most of the different tools in the marketplaces you offer. And in terms of some strategies, so for example, clear your fragmented stock with auctions, or bundle slow-moving stock with bestsellers. That kind of ties in again into the be inventive part. And lastly, focus on a clear pricing strategy and review product performance per market to basically make informed pricing decisions. And finally, diversify your marketplace portfolio. So number three, do not stick to just one marketplace, because then the risk of failure increases. And this is also where basically expansion to international marketplaces comes in, and Webinterpret's tool can help you out. Because of course, more visibility equals more sales. Therefore, that kind of ties into your diversification portfolio here. And that basically sums up our part of the webinar. So Antonio, over to you for some questions.
Yeah, one question we have from Michelle Moscati is, she's asking, is Webinterpret able to help them, open their Amazon stores internationally and help with maybe their advertising on eBay or Amazon as well?
Mm-hmm. So when it comes to Amazon, currently the solution for Northern American sellers is still under development. So as anybody knows, Amazon functions a little bit differently when it comes to the connection of the platforms between themselves, which basically means that at this point in time, we have not yet established the connection between the US market and the other markets. Nevertheless, I know that a lot of US customers do have shops already opened in other European markets. So for example, I do have a lot of US sellers that, for example, have a UK marketplace already opened with live listings. For those kind of customers, we are able to help out 100%. We're able to already establish connections with the other markets and list their items. For eBay, we are ready to tackle any market that is presented there. And if you are a US seller, you are also eligible for our cross-border trade program, which allows you to have insertion-free listings, which is a huge money saver from the get-go. So definitely. And if anybody is interested in any help, we are here to give advice on how to even open up these marketplaces for yourselves in terms of domestic sales.
Yeah. Also, we also have some people on the call that are actually based in Europe. So with Webinterpret, you can also help European sellers obviously go throughout Greater Europe. Can you also help them come into North America as well?
Yes, 100%. So at this point in time, the European part of Webinterpret's actions has been actually slightly more established than the Northern America one. Here we've been present for about 3 years, then for over 10. So 100% we are able to help out, and we do have connections into eBay US. When it comes to other Northern American platforms, there are also projects on the horizon that will open up this market even more. So also keep an eye out.
Perfect. We have another question is, do you have any idea when the eBay to C discount solution will be available with Webinterpret?
Yes, so that will be available in the upcoming months. Nevertheless, when it comes to anything that involves building a newer infrastructure, timelines are just timelines. The reality is the reality. So we're hoping that possibly the second quarter or third quarter of next year. Nevertheless, any details will be given to us, particularly the agents, in the new year. So I don't have any very specific information yet.
Okay, perfect. And then that's pretty much all for the questions. No, we thank you for your time. I want to see if there's anything that's popping into my head that could really help. No, but this is really exciting. I mean, I think the couple of the biggest aspects whenever people think about expanding is the first thing that keeps them saying no is that localization, right? It's so daunting to say, hey, I'm a North American seller. I speak English. I don't speak French. I don't know Spanish. How am I supposed to make these listings, work there? Because then it's a whole nother world of SEO that you have to tackle because you can't just translate directly because people will search things in different. So your solution's really exciting in that aspect, and also being able to pull that inventory from one place and put it everywhere. I mean, that really takes a head off from a lot of people.
Yes, I would agree 100%. And the fact that everything is so easy on our side, which basically means you click a button, you register your shop, and then boom, it's duplicated on up to 12 international markets, sorry, within a given marketplace. It's so easy that literally anybody can use it. Anybody can use it, and so far, we've seen fantastic results for the customers that really do use it. I know I have a lot of questions a lot of the time from customers. So what is the difference between the fact that I'm offering international shipping? I'm already selling internationally. Well, you're not really tapping into the potential here of customers that don't want to shop in English. Let's say I speak French and I want to purchase in euros. I don't want to purchase from the States and pay in US dollars and then pay a fee because I'm using PayPal as the platform that then takes a conversion fee. So you're tapping into that additional potential here that normally you might not get, which is basically what we're trying to focus on here, that connecting you with those customers that might not yet be present within your sphere.
Great. And then actually one more question. We have someone who's based in Europe with another question. They're asking, and this might actually not be your area of expertise, but they're asking with eBay, they're being asked to pay tax. Do you know if, have you seen in your experience where European sellers on US eBay need to pay tax?
So yes, this is actually something new that's coming along, and it's actually been introduced to markets such as UK or Australia, where different fees are applicable within different bounds for these marketplaces. So for example, in Australia, they're currently charging taxes on products delivered from abroad. That is a tax that is applied, for example, for the consumer, for the buyer. Within United Kingdom, that will now be a similar case where they will be charging a tax. This is currently something that is being worked on by Webinterpret to make our listings also compatible with these changes, because if a tax will be applied automatically, that means that the tax can be deducted from the pricing on the international listings. So within the Northern American sphere, we don't really have to worry about that because a lot of the time the pricing of the items is without tax. But it is a solution that we're currently working to adjust the listings to fit these new settings.
Okay, perfect. Well, Klaudia, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you joining us today. If you mind going to the last slide.
No problem at all.
Here's my contact details on your left, and on the right is Klaudia's contact details, as well as the website for Webinterpret. please feel free to reach out to either one of us if you have any additional questions. This webinar will also be available on our YouTube page in the coming days, and we'll also be passing it over to Webinterpret as well to do with what they please. But thank you everyone for joining us for our weekly webinar. I believe this is the last one for the year. So if you're based in North America or in the US, have a happy Thanksgiving. I know the Canadians just had yours, was that 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
So
Yep.
happy belated Thanksgiving to you guys. But yeah, have a good rest of your weekend, and please let us know if you need any help, and happy selling, and great luck for this coming Cyber weekend.
Yep. Good luck, everybody.
Wow.
Have a great day.